Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Rogers. I am president of the Bunker Project 501c3 board chairman, and then I also founded a HK Ventures LLC for-profit arm in an attempt to create a funding arm for the 501c3. And I did that just about a year ago, 11 months. So I am on my way to Vegas right now. It's a lot easier for me to do these updates. I'm kind of in between doing something else, maybe walking the dog or driving in the car, understanding why you see a lot of vlog updates from in the car or stuff like that, because you're trying to update them about stuff that you're doing, otherwise, and it's just kind of awkward to bust out your phone and hey, I need to record this video in the process of doing something else. So anyway, so I'm on my way to Vegas. I'm gonna go meet with a potential Bunker Project president, so someone to take over my role, so I can be more of just can focus on my role as a board member, raising funds for the nonprofit, so that way we can have a president to actually focus on running the nonprofit in Las Vegas without having to shut down that house. So last month I gave an update to the guys in the house, the veterans in the house, that I may need to sell the house in September. Absolute worst case scenario, sell that house in September, October, excuse me, when the last veterans lease is up. So they all signed 1-year leases, and his lease would be up in October, and that would give them time to find their next place if I need to sell that house. And the reason I would need to sell that house is just because the strain that it's causing on me personally to continue running this with a 5-year-old son. He'll be 5 on May 28th. So the soon to be 5-year-old son who lives in Arizona. I lived in Arizona now to be closer to him. We have the nonprofit, the house, is located in Vegas. And that house was set up really as a pilot project just to determine if this would even be viable, if supporting student veterans is even a thing, if that's even needed. And it seems to be that it is. Some of the veterans that are in the house are they would not complete their programs if they didn't have the house. So just after I gave them that update that I might have to sell, our house manager kind of went into a bit of a panic, and he's dropped out of school. He dropped out of school and is working 70 hours a week at his job to save and save and save, because he's in a panic that this place is going to shut down. He's going to have to go find somewhere to live, at the worst possible time when the economy is really high and all that. And I'm hoping that that won't have to happen. So that's why it's worth driving all the way up to Vegas right now to meet with this person who says that they can help us with raising funds and managing the program. Because if they can focus on doing that in Las Vegas, then I can focus on Phoenix and expanding to another location. So we can use the equity in the house to do that. It's about probably $100,000 or so in equity in the house from the time I bought it and up until now. So we can pull that out using a cash out refinance and get another house in Arizona. That would be totally fine managing. But me by myself as one person, I cannot do the house in Vegas and another house in Arizona all by myself. And all while trying to be a single dad with a 5-year-old and trying to run a LLC, real estate investment business. And so on the LLC side, so I'll be eligible to sell that fourplex as of June 28th. So I'm probably going to do that, 1031 exchange those funds to something a little bit larger that will have a little bit better cash flow. So the problem with the fourplex is it just doesn't cash flow. It's too small. The little bit of profit it makes covers the HOA dues, covers the property manager, covers the mortgage payments, property taxes and whatever, and that's about it. And then any kind of maintenance costs I've been mostly having to come out of my own pocket, so that's dwindled my savings down quite a bit. Why we're running at a $6,000 or so loss this month, or this summer, to get through the summer for the Bunker Project. And then each month we're also running at a $450 a month loss, and that's just to make the regular bills. And then if something breaks, that's even worse. So now I've got to, it's like over the last few months I had to replace a toilet, the O-ring, the main ring that connects the toilet to the floor had broken, so when I was replacing that, I dropped the toilet. So my hands were all slippery from the I don't know, gooey stuff that you use. I can't think of the word. So anyway, that all didn't work out very well. Broke the toilet, so that cost a bunch of money to have a new toilet installed. We had a washing machine go out. We had a fan go out in the bathroom, and that's a really old house from 1963. So that bathroom fan was wired really odd, and it was kind of like an intermediary between other things. So I ended up bringing in an electrician, so that cost us a good chunk of change. So all those things just keep setting us back. Any savings that I had to make it through summer just dwindled that down. And then the fourplex that I bought with the hope of producing cash flow to keep the nonprofit going, it's starting to cash flow now. This month we brought in $2,300, and that will cover the $2,180 mortgage payment, and that's not going to cover the bills for the Bunker Project house, which are about $2,250 a month. But we only got maybe $200 or so in profit from the fourplex. So that fourplex not really working out very well. It's a great long-term investment. If I wanted to hold it until retirement and then sell it, and then I got, okay, great, I've got some equity that I can use for my retirement. Awesome. But that wasn't the idea of that fourplex. The idea of the fourplex was to support the nonprofit, so it needs to cash flow. So I need to scale up. So one of the things I was taught after I bought the fourplex was that most syndicators don't look at anything below 20 units. And really 100 units and above is ideal if you're trying to do this professionally, real estate professionally as a business, whereas that way you can actually hire a property management company. There's enough meat on the bone. You can have a property manager, you can have some maintenance staff. You're able to put away money, squirrel away some money for large maintenance issues that might come up. All those kind of things that you can cushion for with economies of scale that come from larger properties that you don't get from a fourplex. Fourplex is slightly better than a house. It is better than owning just one individual house, where if I don't have a tenant paying for a month or I have a maintenance issue, I might lose everything. At least this one, $200 a month, okay, $200 in profit. That's better than where we've been since I bought the thing 10 months ago. 10 and a half months ago, whatever. But it's just not quite where I want it to be. So there is the 1031 exchange program, and that's where you can take all the profits from one property and apply it to another property, a similar or like property that's a little bit more expensive. It has to be more expensive. It can't be lower. You can waive all of those capital gains or defer all those capital gains taxes by just kind of rolling it over into that next property. So that's what my plan is to do, is to sell this fourplex, 1031 exchange those funds over to something larger. So I'll probably put it into a syndication or a new development, preferably a new development. So right now I'm looking for between 50,000 to 75,000 square feet on the west side of Phoenix. So if you've got land, if you've got about 1.5 acres to 2 acres on the west side of Phoenix, and it's zoned for mixed use, high density mixed use. So I want to build a mixed use property where it's got a few retail stores on the bottom and then some residential units on top. So that's what I'm looking to do. Preferably in an opportunity zone. So if you got anything in like Avondale, Buckeye, something like that, highly ideal. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking to do with that money. If I can't find a plot of land, then plan B, I'll place it into somebody else's syndication, or if I can find one of my own, a value add property. Value add properties have been really, really hard to find, at least at prices that make sense. They're selling at cap rates. So a cap rate is a calculation of about how much profit you expect to make off of this thing. So your net operating income minus all your expenses, basically, and divided by all your expenses, and that gives you a percentage. And that's about what you think you'll make in profit. Anyway, so people are buying, or they're trying to sell properties. The properties that brokers have shown me, most have been brought to me at cap rates of 2-3%, but yet loan rates are going up and up. Not so much on the commercial side, because commercial side isn't tied to the Fed rate. Commercial rate is tied to more like LIBOR, which is a UK rate. But those are still going up. Those have still gone up 2 basis points. a lot lower, a lot smaller than on the residential side, the Fed rate, but it's still having an impact. It will still have an impact on loan rates, it'll still have an impact on profits, and I'm just not comfortable doing that for my first, real first larger value add project that would be syndicated with other people's money. I feel more comfortable with a new development, so like I helped an uncle place some money in a new development project, and that's at 62 units in Waco, and I get to learn about development through that. I learned quite a bit, and so now I'm feeling comfortable. I'm ready to go find some land and begin the process. So that's kind of where things are at on the HQB side, with fourplex. But while going through that process, if I 1031 exchange that fourplex, either over to a new development, if I can do it into a new development, or maybe just into a syndication as a limited partner. Hopefully I can get on there as a limited partner and a general partner in some way. Maybe I can acquire property, bring it, something like that. So I can be get the acquisition side as a general partner and put in the money as a limited partner, $150,000. That's kind of what I'm expecting to get out of that fourplex as prices are dropping. Prices are dropping fast if you haven't been paying attention. So I'm trying to get it sold off before prices drop below what I paid it for. I'm not going to be able to make any profit. Now I'm just kind of stuck with it. Not really cash flowing, just breaking even. That's not where I want to be. So try to get out of that thing while I can. And but in the meantime, that means that cash flow I was hoping to get from the fourplex isn't going to be coming. It's not, and it hasn't been coming really, because so far it's all been just rehabbing the fourplex, getting it up to speed to where it's a livable property for people. It was in really bad shape when we bought it, so I've put, by this point I've probably put about $50,000 at least into rehabbing the building, and a lot of my personal time and such. So now I think it's ready to pass it off to someone else. I think it's a great stepping stone. So I'm really looking for an investor who wants to use a VA loan or an FHA loan. I'm not just looking for that person, that institutional person who's going to come in and overpay. I really kind of feel like I'm in a battle with those institutional investors, at least the very, very big ones. They're making it extremely difficult. They're making the market extremely competitive. People like us are kind of squeezing out private investors, and that's a problem. That's a scary thing, because our whole country is built on private property ownership. That's the whole basis of our system. And so if you got institutional investors whittling that away, turning us into an oligarchy, that's a scary thing. That's a complete alteration of our entire economy, our entire country. America basically ceases to exist as it was founded, as originally intended. So that's scary. So anyway, I want to help out a private investor use like a VA loan or an FHA loan, just like I did, to buy this fourplex. It is a very hackable fourplex. So one of the units had an issue with the property management company where a leasing agent kind of did some militant stuff before he quit. Didn't like the way rents are going up. So he signed people on leases, year leases, continuing their rate at what they were at. So we got one person he did that with, who's on a year lease at $700 a month. That'd be up in just a few months, but it's still kind of annoying. So it's like that unit was supposed to be rented out for $1,150 a month, plus another $50 for utilities, so $1,200 a month. So that's a $500 a month loss on that unit, just because this leasing agent, I don't know, just renewed at the same rate they were already at, rather than boosting him up like we had talked about. And now that person has quit, or they've probably been fired doing that kind of stuff. good for them. You know, good for the people. You know, keep rents low. I'm all for, you know, keeping things as affordable as possible. But at the same time, like, you gotta make money. You gotta make the bills at least. So the whole point of that fourplex was to profit, like I said, for the nonprofit. So anyway, it's a very hackable fourplex in that you could buy this fourplex with an FHA or VA loan, and then you can evict that $700 a month tenant because they're way under market rate. You could move into that unit and live in it yourself. And now you meet the personal residence requirement. You got the other 3 units covering yours. And then I've done almost all of the rehab, most of the rehab, to get it to where it's a comfortable living environment. You know, there's still room for you to add and make it even nicer, just to keep continuing that you know, value add. So if you're interested in a fourplex and you're a newer investor like me, you want to live in it and hack it, especially, that's an ideal one. Either way, you're probably going to have to raise the rent on that $700 a month unit. Whether you evict them and move in yourself, or whether you just work with them to raise the rents, it's up to you. But for now, they're at $700 a month. And the other 3 are cash flowing pretty well. So we got one at, I think, about $1,400, and then one at $12, and the other 2 are at like about $1,200 a month. So that's not bad for a fourplex. You be cash flow on essentially from day one, especially if you moved into Unit A, or the unit with the $700 a month guy. So there's that. Buy a fourplex. I think I'm going to end this. Getting pretty long and rambly. So I'm driving up to the Bunker Project house, meet with a new potential president or maybe regional director, something like that. Help manage that Las Vegas house. And if that doesn't work out, we get to October and I still haven't found anyone to help manage the house, or haven't found a way to fund this program, then I'm just going to sell the house. I'll list the house for sale in October, and that'll be that. And then I will use those funds and start again in Arizona. Hopefully Arizona will actually appreciate it. So, like, one of the things also that's making me want to sell is I spoke with the head of the Veteran Center or whatever at the UNLV. So the main kind of campus that we're supporting, UNLV, he mentioned that they had 5 student veterans living on campus in the parking lot in their cars. And no one ever called us to ask if we had a room. We've got an empty room right now. And rather than place them with us, like I said, just gave them a room in the dorm. So it's kind of like UNLV doesn't even really see us as a resource. They're not utilizing us as a resource. Just relying on themselves. So it's like, well, this doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to make this huge sacrifice to keep it going if it's not even needed. It's not even wanted, not even appreciated, or whatever you want to call it. So there's that. There's that as well. It's like, even if we are able to fund it and keep it going, it's like, well, what's the point if the university doesn't want it? So, I don't know. Lots of questions. Lots of wavering on what to do. But we'll see. So that's kind of why I've been doing these updates, so you can see this process, see this, like, trying to make decisions, decide what to do, what are the options. I'd hope for more engagement. It's been kind of disappointing that you got 33 or so followers on the YouTube channel, which is great. I appreciate those 33 followers. And then I'd hope they would engage more. Comment on the video, comment on what I'm talking about. Like, I think I got a bad idea. I think I got a good idea. Like, if you have your own idea, anything, just comment on the video quality itself, comment on my personal appearance, comment on just something, just hoping for some engagement. That's been the weird thing, is like I was doing this all by myself, and it's been difficult to get anyone else on board. So that's about all I got. I'm getting a phone call.